Now, you can be dwelling in that place continually, in a sense of Jesus was only doing what he saw the Father doing. So he was connected to the Father's heart all the time. The Father was in him, he was in the Father. There was this relationship, but for Jesus enabled him to know the Father's heart and then outwork it practically on earth. But he was his voice. The whole process was still taking place. Just whatever he was doing in the spirit was outworking simultaneously on earth. It was, but I sort of had to learn the process. But you can become in tune with the Father's heart. So let's say I walk into a situation and I feel the Father's heart in that situation. I then can see, well, what am I called to do here? Because the gap between being his voice and engaging the chamber of creation is this aligned to my destiny? How am I supposed to outwork this through me? So I'm still part of the process, and it's not automatic. It's almost like you are his voice, but now how is that outworked through who you are as a son in destiny, in your destiny? And that might be different for other people than it is for me. So how I outwork it in the chamber of creation is dependent on how it aligns to who I am in a creative way. I don't go and do it like Nancy or Justin or anyone else would do it. I am outworking it through me. Therefore, there is a step there in which I become entwined or one with, in union with that desire, being his voice. But now I creatively choose how to express that, which is why when Nancy and myself created these beings, we did it differently, and the result was the same. There was more guardians, but the creative process was somewhat different. And that's how it's supposed to be, because we're all uniquely different and we are created in God's image and likeness to be an expression as a son, not to be a formula or a clone of how to do it. So Jesus healed people many different ways, I think, as an example to say, look, there's not just one way of doing this. You can choose whichever way you want to do this through who you are. Therefore, my thought processes in my heart will be different from yours. So it was very unlikely that anything would ever be exactly the same, because God is releasing his heart, not a set of detailed plans and architect's drawings of what you've got to do. Otherwise, it just becomes, you just end up being a robot that fulfills a program. Whereas it's not like that. God is including us in the creative process that enables us to outwork that process through us, which is, I think, great. I think it shows how God treats us and sees us, and how he's made us and trusts us to be an expression of his heart. And if you're not free from the view of, well, I've got to please God and be obedient and do it all the right way, then you'll have fear attached to the process. Well, I've got to do it right. You've got to become free from fear and free from duty and obligation to be yourself, and be an expression of your creative self in how you outwork the Father's heart. And therefore, we could have 10 people in a room all outworking the Father's heart, and it would all look different, but the result would all be the same. And I think that's just how God is wonderful, and hasn't made us all identical, but has uniquely and wonderfully made us, and has wonderful thoughts about us and who we actually are. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.